And welcome to our first Aesthetics Nurse Live back. How are you doing? How are you feeling? How is your business feeling right now? Is it fully resuscitated after the holidays, or are you making it NFR, DNAR? You're like, I'm kind of done. I'm exhausted. Hi, Fiona. Drop in the comments how your business is feeling at the beginning of the year. Needles down, gloves off. We're here to talk about business. I want you to remember the duality of running an aesthetics business, of being a nurse and treating your clients and giving them excellent care and your needlework. But also, you need to know how to sell. You need to know how to make money. You need to know how to market your business to attract new clients, to get referrals, to have people coming back. So we have these two positions that we are in, and we need to be able to switch between the two of them. So we need to have these moments where we put our needles down, we put our gloves down, and we focus on how we are going to make more money so we have a profitable aesthetics business. I've got some things I want to share with you today. Fiona says she feels motivated. What's the research status of your business right now? Is it for active treatment? You are going all in, you are doing it this year? Or are you making it DNAR and you're just going to hope for the best? And I want to share a story with you based on resuscitation. And I'm sure many of you have had way more different experiences, but I'm going to relate it back to business and running your business. So bear with me as I tell you this story. Fiona says she is for everything. She is for active treatment. Okay, so I remember this as if I am stood on the ward now. And I'd sent my student in to put her eyes on our tracheostomy patient. And I can even see where the bed is. So picture this with me. You've got a ward, you've got your patients, you've got your student. You're like, just go and do my 2 hourly sats and rests. Go and check her oxygen levels. Go and see how she's doing. I will come in and we'll go through a whole teaching process of how to check the tracheostomy tube. So she comes back and she says, Harriet, she's bleeding. And I'm like, what do you mean she's bleeding? She's bleeding from her tracheostomy. So I go in and I'm like, oh, shit. This is not ideal. This is not what we want happening, but it's okay. We're gonna remain calm. We're gonna get going. And it escalated. My suction wasn't working. Somebody hadn't cut the tube in right, so I had to get tubing from the other side. I stuck my head out and I'm like calling to this doctor, this Max Facts doctor that I know, because I'm like, this isn't really like escalating, but we're going to need help. It did escalate. We had the whole crash team. It all happened. She was fine. It's all peachy. She went category 1 to surgery. But when you evaluate those situations that you find yourself in from a clinical perspective, I will never, ever, ever forget my old ward manager saying to me, what else could you have done? What else could you have done differently? And I'm like racking my brains thinking, I don't know, like don't send the student to check the sats and rests, I don't know. And she said, if you have a bleeding tracheostomy, you hyperinflate the cuff. So you hyperinflate the cuff. And I can see her on that ward with the empty bed space and the chaos around us, and I will never, ever forget that moment. The minute I have anything with tracheostomies, it is one of the first things I teach. It's one of the first things that comes to my mind. And maybe you will have been in these situations and these moments that you think, I will never forget that. I will never forget that woman's face and her bleeding tracheostomy, and I will never forget my old ward manager Mel telling me, you hyperinflate the cuff. And this is how I want you to evaluate your business. What small things do you need to remember every single time? Every single time you post, every single time you see a client, we are meant to be getting one step better. There is meant to be these things that we remember each time. There's these moments when our coaches say to us, okay, but next time, make the hook of your post shorter. Because this will land better, it will be read quicker, people will see it better. When I'm messaging my coach about selling in the DMs and having a conversation and she's tweaking my wording. Those are the moments where I think hyperinflate the cuff. And you won't have these moments if you're not taking this second to evaluate your work, to evaluate your business as a whole, but also like your content, how you're showing up. I go back and I rewatch my lives and think, okay, how could I have done that better? Could the lighting have been better? Could I have started stronger? What's my call to action when I end this live? Because then I want to get into my head that I do it next time, that I do it every single time. And I think it's very easy to think of social media as, I'm just going to shove a post up, I'm just going to hope that somebody sees my price list and that's the very moment that I'm £10 cheaper than somebody else. Or maybe they see the reel that I created, but you have no control over this. The same as you have no control when you are working your shift about who is going to suddenly deteriorate, who is going to go off on you, who is going to say what to you, how your patient workload is going to look, what patients you're allocated at the start of the shift. You have no control over these things. But you do have control over your knowledge, over how you present yourself, how you evaluate yourself. And this is no different when we're in this business role. So remember, at the start of this training, I said we have our nursing role and we have our business role. We need to be able to jump between the two, and you need to be able to to be able to look at your business in an analytical way, the same as you look after your patients. The same as we learn different skills for our treatments, we need to learn these skills as a business owner. Somebody just commented in my DMs saying, you're a great saleswoman. I'm a great salesperson because we are in sales. If you are in the aesthetics industry, you are in sales now. You have a selling business. You have to learn how to sell. It's no good everyone's saying, oh, it's too expensive, and you go, no, okay. You have to learn how to overcome objections. You have to learn how to solve their problems, because the problem is not the price. The problem is not whether you offer one area of Botox for £150 or £170. Somebody doesn't care about the £20 difference. They care about you and how you are going to look after them. How can you evaluate how you are putting yourself forward so that you do a better job? Then you're no longer worried about the price point of your products and services. You're no longer worried if someone is going to come to you and say, I can't afford that right now, because you are solving their problem. It's not the end of the day if they say, I can't afford this right now, because you have other people lined up. If you don't have other people lined up, if you don't have other people in your patient flow, the same as you would in work, what are you going to do about it? What do you need to evaluate going into 2024 that you need to do better? Do you need to post more consistently? Do you need to post better content? Maybe you're great, you post every single day, but it's not quite hitting the mark. Do you need to go and look at your analytics and go, okay, I had 5 people save this post. What was better about this post than the one that had 0? You need to get good at having these post-situation conversations with yourself. You need to get better at saying, what could I have done better in that situation? Exactly the same as you would have when you had your nurse hat mode on. But you have to remember, and you have to acknowledge that you are a business owner. You need to be making sales. Otherwise, you have a very expensive, time-consuming, mentally draining hobby. And nobody wants that. We could be sat crocheting. We could be knitting. But we're not. We want to do something that is better, that we are motivated for, that drives us to achieve more, because we are very motivated and driven people as nurses. I don't want to be sat knitting. I want to be making money. I want to be working when I'm traveling. I want to be achieving things. I want to be helping people. What's what I went into nursing to do, to help people. The same as you went into nursing, you applied for your job and you looked at the salary, you looked at what band it was. You have to be good at making money if you are in business. So you have to get good at analysing, that's the word I was looking for, analysing what you are doing well and how you can improve on it. And you need a conversation with yourself. Hi, Carrie. Welcome to this week's Aesthetics Nurse Live. But you have to get good at looking at what you are doing, and you need to have a conversation with yourself this year and go, what do I need to get better at? What do I need to learn more of? If I'm going to keep my business for active treatment, full recess, what am I going to need to do? And this doesn't necessarily mean adding in more treatment. Hi, Claudia. This doesn't necessarily mean adding in more treatments. Maybe you want to increase your client spend, but you don't have the capacity to do more days in clinic. You don't have the capacity to be able to spend longer per client because you have mastered the basics. Or maybe you haven't mastered the basics. You haven't got 10 people on your waiting list that do Botox the week after next. Maybe you haven't been able to keep up with your DMs and following up and having conversations. Or maybe, just like I was stood at the end of that patient's empty bed space and you're thinking, what could I have done better? What would have worked better? And you've been sending out your Faces link for someone to book and nobody's booking. Why aren't they booking? Let's have a conversation with ourselves in business mode, not nurse mode, about what is working and what is not working and what we need to get better at. And what we need to have in our head every single time we post something and every single time we say something, and the conversations we're having with our clients. Maybe some of us just need to be providing a better service to our clients and explaining that this isn't a one-time and done process, that in 10 weeks I'm going to follow up and we're going to have a discussion about how it's wearing off, of how fast your metabolism is going. Maybe in 12 weeks you will be booked in for further treatment because this isn't something that is going to last forever. And it's about having those conversations with yourself and going, okay, so they're not replying to my follow-up messages. Why aren't they replying? What did I do? What can I take responsibility for and take ownership of that is going to make this work better? Drop a fire emoji in this comment section if you are like, yes, I need to burn it down so I can build it back up again, because I know that I need to take responsibility of my own actions, my own learning, my own not revalidations in my brain right now, like evaluating what I'm doing, my own resources, my own learning. Carrie is fired up. Because the same as when you have a situation when you are a nurse and you have to evaluate it and you're thinking, well, I probably should write a reflection, but I don't really want to. The whole process is to learn. What can you learn from this? The same as that bleeding tracheostomy that when Category went to theatre and I stood there with Sister Mel and she said, what could we have done differently? What could have worked better? What do we need to know next time? Hyperinflate the cuffs. Okay, this is a really good question. I'll come to that. That we said, I need to hyperinflate the cuff. That is now something I actively teach on every single time we have a trachea patient, hyperinflate the cuff. Every single time we're doing anything scenario-based, we hyperinflate the cuff. We don't learn this if we don't have the people that have gone before us. If I had had a nurse then that didn't evaluate, that didn't take the time to go, what could we have done better? If we didn't have those moments to go, okay, that situation was great, she's fine, it's all dandy, but what could we have done better next time? I wouldn't learn this. It wouldn't be 10 years on that I'm still preaching this. So how do we know what's going wrong if we have nothing to compare to? So when we're looking at our content, we look at our analytics. Who's seen it? Is it reaching our ideal audience? Are people saving it? Is it valuable? Or did we just post our price list and hope somebody saw it? Because your price list, sorry, I'm just going to say it, is not content. That's just part of your business. That's your price list. You can have it somewhere on your Instagram, but it doesn't need to be a post. It's not content. Content is something that entertains or educates. And if we don't know how to create content, what are we going to do to learn content? For example, I buy templates. I'm inside template trainings. I'm inside a Reels membership so that I learn how to do better Reels. I'm inside a business mentorship that costs me £97 a month because I want to learn better at business. I'm inside a mastermind because I want to learn better at sales. I want to get better at growing my business and making better income. And I can only do this from people that have gone before me, the same as I can only learn from nurses who have been in these situations before. So we evaluate based on what we're doing. Is it working? Am I seeing the right clients? Am I attracting the right clients to me? If I'm not, what am I going to do about it? This isn't anyone's responsibility anymore. This isn't anyone else's problem but yours as a business owner. If you're not good at sales, how are we getting better at sales? If you're not good at sending emails, have you seen someone marketing an email template? I have. I'm like, yes, grab me that because I don't have the time to write them myself. So I'll have that. If it saves me time, I want it. Because we're business owners now. We're not trying to do things for other people. I think we get so wrapped up in being an NHS nurse, or maybe you've worked in private, it's kind of the same, but everything's done for us. Everything's provided for us. Your patients are sat ready and waiting, or they're coming in to you. Now we have to do the bit that happens behind the scenes, and we have to go out and get our patients, and we have to go out and make the money. We have to go out and actively buy the stock. There's all these other things that we have to do that we're now business owners. So maybe if your sales aren't working and you look back at your DMs and you look at somebody that did book in with you and you look at somebody who didn't book in with you, and what happened? What is the difference between those two conversations? If you're sending someone the link, what's happening? Evaluate. We're not stupid. You're not stupid. You're a nurse. You're very intelligent. What's happening when you send someone a link? I look at that link. Do I understand it? If that was Joe Blogs on the street, do they understand it? Do they understand if they want 1 area of Botox, 3 areas of Botox? You said something about wrinkles by their eyes, so do they need this Lumi eye thing? Do I need to book in for that? Or is it easier to have a conversation in the DMs and send a direct link? Are they more likely to stay on track than sending to a website that goes, no idea what any of this means, close? And it's having the self-awareness to evaluate that for yourself. To be able to go, something isn't working, I need to switch this up. And maybe you try that for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and it's still not quite hitting it, but it's a little bit better. And you go back and you evaluate what we're going to do next. How can we make this better again? What can I do that is going to help my clients more? What am I going to do that means that more people get the results that they want? You know, I see a lot of people say, we have 2 empty mugs here, let's use these mugs. Oh my God, I'm offering this today, and it's like 1 box of friggin' Botox and 1 box of, I don't know, think of some other product. Your client doesn't care. Your client doesn't care what you're selling. They care about the results. Are you talking about how somebody feels? Do you know if your audience is an empowered buyer, that they work off their emotions? Or are your audience somebody that's just trying to save £10? And which one do you want to help more? Because for me, when I was growing my aesthetics list and I only did fillers, I want the person I'm going to help. I want the person that comes to me and says, it feels like my face is sliding off. What are we going to do to bring that volume back up? I don't want someone that says, oh, well, Becky down the road is £10 cheaper, that I'm going to go to her. Okay, go. Because that client is going to be a nightmare anyway. That client is going to drain the life out of me. I want to help the person that wants results. So I'm going to market to the people that want results. So it's not about the fact that we don't have something to compare it to. Maybe you would have a situation in work. Maybe you would have a situation in work that you've never experienced before. But you can still learn from it. You still know how to evaluate that situation and how you could have done it better, or how you could have managed it better. and what could have gone differently, so that if it comes up again, you know what to do. We have to have our own self-awareness and our own responsibility to go, okay, maybe I suck at sales. Okay, maybe I don't know how to do marketing. Maybe I don't know how to do Instagram. Or maybe all your clients are coming from Facebook. I know Carrie gets a lot of clients from Facebook, and I know Fiona, you get yours from word of mouth. But how are you going to get more of those? How are you going to evaluate how you get referrals? How are you going to evaluate how you double down on that? Okay, so maybe your content comes from Facebook. Fantastic. How are you going to get better at Facebook? Maybe your clients come from word of mouth. How are you going to get better at getting your business in front of other people? How are you going to encourage the people that you've spoken to, the people that have been in your practice, to talk about you? Not everything has to be, am I going to create the latest trend in reel? But we also need to be aware that we have a location-based business. I don't. I could have anyone across the world. My business is coaching. Your business is location-based. Somebody has to be able to get to you. So have the self-awareness that somebody from New York is not going to get on a plane and come to South Wales to have their Botox done. They're going to get 2 tubes up the road to see their injector. So you don't need to do a viral reel that reaches America. You need to look at your insights and make sure it is reaching the right people. Just going to pause there. Let's have a think about this. Let's take this in together. What else are we going to do with the knowledge that we have? How can we switch from the things that we would evaluate as a nurse to evaluate them as a business owner? And when we think like this, like the other night in work, I booked onto a manual handling course. Do we still need to be doing this 14 years on? I don't know. Things change. We need an update. Instagram changes all the time. Do I want to stay in a program that gives me up to dates? I've got an email from one of my coaches saying, your trending reels are up. Can't wait to see your content appear on my grid this week so that you get invisible. It's no different than booking in to re-educate myself on manual handling. It's no different than going, probably should do a diabetes update. I'm doing more in medicine nowadays. They clearly don't speak the same as being a surgical nurse. It's no different than what treatment do we use for different skin conditions now. It's just this for business. It's just learning different things. So keeping ourselves updated. Okay, so what's working in sales now that wasn't working 3 years ago when I was in a different collective, that I was in a different mentorship? And I want to briefly touch on the fact that, okay, these courses might be free or they're included with work, but I've invested in courses as a nurse to improve my own practice. You want clients to invest in you as an injector, you have to get okay with talking about and having conversations about money. Where are you going to spend your money? How is this going to grow your business? Because maybe you want to jump on the latest injectable trend. Maybe because you follow several different businesses that offer trainings, it seems like everybody wants this treatment. Maybe you are seeing a lot of aesthetics nurses talk about this latest trend in the industry. But evaluate yourself, have this knowledge, and think to yourself, are my patients, are my clients actually asking for this though? Is this trending with Joe Blogs on the street that's coming to me for treatment? Or am I only seeing this because I haven't muted all the aesthetics nurses like I know I need to? Am I only seeing this because an aesthetics training business, that was a mouthful, is selling this to me? Is this really the latest trend in treatment? Or is this just something else that I need to pay to do? I am coming back strong for your businesses. I am ready to resuscitate them and bring them back to life. I feel very, very strongly about helping nurses make more money this year. I feel fired up. We are done practicing. We are done with the mess that was last year, where we were all trying to figure out our own shit, where we were just posting and hoping, where we were seeing clients randomly because we wanted to make a bit of extra money. We are business owners now. We're out of this baby stage. We're out of this stage of trying to learn and almost play at it. It is time to get serious. It is time to take your business seriously if you want it still alive by the end of the year. Or are we going to be RIP to me and my business, and come this time in 2025, you're not even talking about the fact that you were an aesthetics nurse. You are just blanking this time out because you didn't take it seriously. We're not messing around anymore. We're not just trying this out to see if it sticks. If you are a business owner and you are ready to take this seriously, and you are just there's just something missing, there's something I need to learn, there's something I need to do, we need to have a conversation, and you need to be open enough to have that conversation to go, I need to do something about this. And maybe this isn't a treatment issue. Maybe I know how to inject somebody. Maybe I can give really good treatment care. But maybe you don't have the processes in place and you are feeling so overwhelmed that you just actually want to quit because it's too much work. I remember having so many, not arguments, but they were heated moments with me and David, and I would just be there is so much I need to do. Give me a break. I know you want to go out, but I don't have time. And they can't see it. When they're not seeing the money, they're never ever going to be supportive. I'm going to be honest with you. They're never going to be supportive if they cannot see the money for time, because they only recognize the fact when we leave for shift, we are making money. And that's okay. It's not your job to convince them otherwise. It's not your job to fully educate them on business, because they might as well be in a business course too. But it is your job to get better at managing your time, at managing your money, at managing what you need to learn. And accepting that this is your problem, not their problem. It's not David's fault. He doesn't get it. He doesn't get why I want to talk on Instagram stories. Until I'm okay, yeah, but I talk on Instagram stories and I have 5 people reach out and buy something. Do you want to book a flight? He's okay, let's book another flight. Go back on your Instagram stories now. What are you doing hanging around? Off you trot. Go post something. Where we are with my business right now is I can sit here and go, does this look clear? Does this look great? Is this grabbing your attention? Can you read this? How does this work? I'm in the middle of writing a post that's your basic life support for your business. That's not my post. That's not my idea. That's David's idea. We could not have had this when I first started in aesthetics in 2018. There is no way we would be at this point where we can talk about Instagram as a marketing tool when David only sees Instagram as something you scroll on. My husband thought I was failing because I didn't have a sold out clinic 1 month after I started. It's a marathon, 100%. 100%. And it can be, again, it's this duality of we want to tell our partners, our best friends, everything, but you have to also protect yourself, your self-esteem, your mental capacity to be able to take on everything. They don't need to know. Don't need to know. You don't need to tell them everything. You don't need to say I don't have a sold out clinic. You don't need to be having these conversations. Other than, this is what I'm doing. Oh my goodness, I had 3 people reach out to me today about Botox. Okay, so they're having Botox, they're not having a full face rejuvenation. But come the end of this year, those clients kind of been upsold and upsold and upsold, and maybe now they're having a full face rejuvenation, and you're like, oh my God, I made $1,000 from 3 patients. We don't need to sit here and be like, oh, I'm not achieving it yet. Okay, but what am I gonna do? What am I doing about it? What am I doing? What can I take responsibility of? What do you have control over? You don't have control over whether someone logs into your live stream. You don't have control over whether somebody clicks a link that's in your bio. You don't have control over somebody sees your reel and it's the perfect person in the perfect area and the perfect age group for X treatment. You have control over putting content out there, getting better at content, selling your services. I mean, let's just be real. Some of you just need to sell. Some of you need to go on your Instagram stories and say, do you have these problems, X, Y, Z? If so, book in for a free consultation. Message me to book. No one knows if you're not selling. No one can do that if you don't tell them to. Sometimes you have to make it so obvious. You have to literally say, message me, consultation, so that they can go in the noise that is their life. If you imagine how busy and how hectic your life is, your ideal client is living that life too. Tell them. So all they have to go is go, consultation, done. They don't even need to think about what to say. There's a reason I post on my stories, sold out. Message me, sold out. DM me, sold out. It's the name of my program. You have to type my program. It's what you want. You want sold out clinics. Message me, sold out. It's so simple. Some of you just need to sell more. Okay. If you've got value from this live training, send it to someone else when the replay's up. Send me a DM telling me your biggest takeaway. If you are fired up to get going and be sold out this year, and you are like, I need to evaluate what's going on right now in my business, in my life, it's just not working. Have the self-awareness that maybe you need to take action on something different. And have the awareness that you're in sales now too, and maybe you need to get better at sales. I will see you next week on Aesthetics Nurse Live. My pleasure, Fiona, my pleasure. Take care now. Have a good week.